What's up? Welcome back. Today we are working on the Miata and it has two different leaks. One leak in the front and one leak in the back. So whenever you do a timing belt, you need to remove the valve cover, all this stuff in the front. But one mistake I did was I moved the camshaft bridge back here, which I shouldn't have removed. So after I replaced the timing belt, I couldn't read the coolant system because it was leaking so much oil from that one spot. This is the seal to the exhaust camshaft in the back, which is what was leaking. And these two are to fix the leaks in the back. If you can guess where these go to, then you're one smart individual. But this seal was like $26. Crazy. And I couldn't find it anywhere but eBay. First, we need to move the strut brace as it's blocking the valve cover from being removed. We can unplug everything here. Every time I work on a vehicle, no matter what, there's something that breaks, or there's some sort of mistake that I make, which I think is pretty realistic for most people that work on cars, except they just hide all their mistakes. And I'm guilty of that too sometimes. I don't show all my mistakes. I need to move the coils. Put them back here actually. Now before we remove the valve cover, we need to move that banjo bolt in the back. It's a 19 millimeter, it has two copper washers on both sides. When I first looked up on how to remove that banjo bolt, no one really gave me the exact product to buy, and it's not really easy to find, so that was a little irritating, to be honest. But I found the right product, so that's nice. And these should be replaced every time you remove that banjo bolt. The wire was in the way. This is a new gasket, so I'm not really gonna do anything with it. It ran like maybe 5 minutes with the gasket on. I was trying to find all the leaks. So this is what I removed. I should not have removed it. And I put it back, I didn't line it up appropriately back here. So let's go ahead and move these, then install it correctly. I should have known better that I didn't need to replace this because these sizes are different from the whole valve cover. This is a 12 millimeter. And this is the seal that we are replacing. And you know, the oil was leaking underneath it because it wasn't lined up. There's a plate back here which I also need to loosen up and move. So there's a bolt right here. I think it's a 12 and I am not right. And it's probably 11 and it's a 12. Just need to move it out of the way. So now we have enough access right here to get the new one in. Now, we need to clean up this mating surface all around. We'll get my plastic scraper. We need to clean up all this old gasket material inside of here. Ugh, it's in there, isn't it? Just flick that out. Clean all that up on every galley. Now we must do the same to this guy. This is plastic, so we're not gonna scrape this ever important piece here. I'm aware I'm a mess. I need to organize all this, but we need to go ahead and grab our inch pound torque wrench, and our RTV. Go ahead and add some gasket to this. Nothing too much because I don't want it to smear all over the place. Now I need to make it flush this backing right here. Let's get the bolt somewhere in at first. Now this has to be flush back here. It has to be flush. So I'm using my bare hand so I can actually feel it. Okay, now I'm gonna torque it to spec to 13 Newton meters. And that should be it. That feels pretty good back here. Since I really don't ever want to replace this again, I added some little bit of gasket sealant. This is a new piece. It pushes as flat as possible to this. That's pretty flat, I'd say. For some reason, there aren't too many sources on replacing that. Barely any. I couldn't find any, actually. Now we need to add sealant to all these galleys. So this is what it looks like. We have some gasket in each little galley, especially back there because we don't want it to leak. I have new copper washers for this banjo bolt, which needs to be torqued down to 40 Newton meters. But let me show you how to get these in. Go and put the copper washer on the banjo bolt. Slide the banjo bolt in just a little bit. Slide this out just ever so much. Last copper washer on. And you tighten the bolt up. All Alrighty, let's bring these back. Okay, we have the spark plugs in, everything plugged out of the hoses. Now it's time to see if it's gonna leak back. I have a box down here to show me if there's any oil leaking down. Kick over the motor. Okay, so we do have a small leak. If you can see it, it's kind of hard to see, but it's actually coming from the banjo bolt this time. Copper washer on the right side isn't lined up efficiently or effectively. That seemed to have fixed the leak. We have nothing down there. We got the hot air blazing, and it's about to be operating temperature. So this should be gulping up some fluid here pretty soon. Got that plug. For this issue, we need to remove the back wheels. The previous owners mangled this pinch weld. Looks like crap. That's why you need to use the right tools for the job. Makes a big deal. And you just jack up right on the pumpkin itself. Have you figured out what these are for? Well, they are axle seals, and we are replacing them. But in order to yank this axle out, we need to loosen this bolt, remove the caliper, the ABS, all that fun stuff. Touching W40 to make our job a little bit easier. We need to release the e-brake to remove this brake caliper. Put the caliper on this jack stand to prevent it pulling what's it called? The brake lines. And we got some, I think, 10s right here. 12s. So that wasn't one to spin very nicely. So instead of forcing it, I'm just gonna use the better socket with the better tool. Yeah, those suckers were on there, my goodness. Now, if you don't wanna use two hands, because some of these bolts are actually kind of tough to use with two hands, because we have a bolt and a nut on both sides, just grab a wrench, put on the nut, and then just loosen it, and the wrench will stop on something that's gonna be stronger than your hands. We need to fully remove this bolt here, okay? All right, this bolt comes right out. You need to wiggle it a little bit and pull it out. Let me show you what we need to do. We need to pull that out from the diff. From what I think, from what I've been seeing, we need to just do a good old yank. It has broke loose. Now we need to remove this bottom bolt. We need a 17 millimeter on this side, then a 22 on this side. My mistake, it actually takes 21 millimeter. To break loose this bottom one, we need to install at least this bolt holding spot, so we'll stop moving forward. This bottom bolt's now loosened. We should be able to yank it. Yeah, there you go. Hold on. All right, we got this. Now we need to take out this rubber piece. You can tell it's ripped right here. Looks like I have a limited slip, I think. It might be an open diff, actually, hard to see from here. New and old. It's dented right side of here. Probably leaking from that dent. Kind of makes sense. So I already thought removing that was just gonna be a bit easier, but it wasn't. And that tight squeeze, this is gonna do. So more leverage, the better. Now we need to install it. Okay, it's pretty much evenly flush all around. I'll just use a socket that's roughly the same size. You could probably use a piece of wood, or honestly, this rubber is pretty dang durable. It's not gonna break. So now we're just gonna slide that axle back in. It just fell. So it will slide right in. You just have to twist it a little bit. You won't have to force it in. It should slide right in. Now we need to after we do this side, We have to do one more final thing. That's something to do with the diff. On this side, I just removed the caliper from the pins themselves because I know I had to lubricate these pins. I've already lubricated the pins on the other side when I worked on it. I knew that these had to be lubricated. So might as well get 2 jobs done in one, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6. We're gonna replace the differential fluid now. That's the final thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna need some 75 W90 and a pump to pump it all in. The wrench to break loose a nut and a socket that's 14 millimeters. 24 millimeters. I'm sure this has almost never been replaced, so it probably needs to be replaced. This is the fill plug, this is the drain plug. Let's first remove the fill plug to make sure that it's not gonna strip. It shouldn't strip. This is a Southern car. Then we can remove this, but we're gonna need a drain pan because you did not want to make a mess. Yeah, this is the seal I just removed. Just leverage here. So I need an extension on top of a breaker bar. That was a tough bolt. Let's remove this plug first, hot plug, so I can breathe. Then we do the bottoms. Make sure you have a drain pan, you don't want to make a mess. Now clean off the back of this bolt because it will be dirty with grime. Okay, we're now going to torque it to spec. This pump will come in handy in the future if you ever continue to work on cars. You should, because you save a lot of money. Now we shove this into the fill hole right up here and you pump. Okay, when it starts leaking out, you're done. And now torque this to spec. And that's it. And the job only took 1 quart of this, so that's pretty awesome. We are going to take the Miata again to North Carolina. All I need to do is lower it, and I'm good to go. This is Chris. Always appreciate Inspection Other. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.